All right, we're going to get started shortly. We're just waiting for a few other panelists, and then we're going to get started with the discussion. So please hold, waiting on 2 more panelists, and then we will get started. All right, it looks like everybody's here. So I'm on a
All right, Manny, you'll let me know when we're ready to go. Hi, Aleeia. Hi, everyone.
How are you?
Good, hanging in there.
Yeah.
Crazy day, dealing with a lot, but good. A lot going on.
Nice shirt.
Oh, thank you. I figured I would, I was feeling very Afrocentric as I do.
Yeah.
When I got up and I was like, I'm wearing my dashiki.
Yeah, looks good.
It's beautiful weather out. I at least got out for a walk today, so that was good. Yeah. Manny, you telling us when we're ready?
Okay, we're ready. All the panelists are on, and we are good to go.
Okay. All righty. What am I looking at? Okay. All right, cool. All right, so we're ready, Manny?
Yes, sir. We are ready.
All righty. Well, good afternoon, everyone. First off, I hope everybody is feeling safe and hanging in there. This week is going to be a very interesting week on many fronts, but one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because there has not been a lot of space outside of the work that many of you on this line, the panelists, are doing. We have not really provided that space to have a real conversation around millennials and success and how we coping. And, it was really relevant, the conversation we're having today. This morning, I got to watch the governor's press conference, and was very interesting on that press conference as he started to delve into mental health, right? And, we all know that in our community, there's normally a stigma attached to mental health. But what's interesting is they broke down the amount of people calling their hotlines, and they had raw data on the age categories that are calling their respective hotlines. And there were a lot of young people, from 18 to 40, who were just suffering during this moment, whether through anxiety, and whether just having mental health episodes. So we really need to provide a lot more space during this time. It's a complicated time for many of us who are young. It's spring now. Normally, some of us will be getting ready to go clubbing. Some of us will be getting ready to, have barbecues, to congregate, to go out and have a cocktail with a friend. But during this moment, we can't do it, unfortunately. At least those of us who are adhering to the social distancing rules. And let me just add, just before I begin, because I want to talk less today, but I wanted to talk on at least 2 different things before we move into the discussion. We had a really combative week with the NYPD and the mayor on social distancing, largely because a lot of people getting locked up and summoned over social distancing, a majority Black and brown young people across the city. Last week, I had the honor of chairing the police department's budget hearing before my committee, in which the police commissioner came. And we delved into those disparities around arrest and summonses when it comes to social distancing. And I think it's important for me to talk about it on this line, especially with millennials. We're out here breaking our neck to make sure that the NYPD understands that our community should not be treated differently. Yeah. So I'm going to put out this little solicitation and really ask everybody, we're doing our job. You might have heard the mayor yesterday or Friday announce that they will no longer arrest or summons over social distancing, although I will have another hearing this week to follow up on that. Really, I mean, for the legislators, for the advocates who are fighting to ensure you won't go to jail or get a summons for social distancing, I just ask for you to wear your mask, to adhere to the rules, the law, because at the end of the day, we're only impacting our communities. Our communities are the hardest hit. But when you have people out there fighting for you for justice, the least you can do for us, so we're not out here looking foolish after we fight for you, is to make sure you're adhering to those rules for not me, but for your community, for the well-being of your family members. So that's it there. This week, we also had a big fight with the NYPD because right now they are proposing, and this is all related to millennials, right? They're proposing to cut the summer youth employment program, but yet graduate a new police class at the tune of $25 million. They also only proposed $10 million in overtime costs this year, although many events are canceled. So think about your West Indian Day parade so far. I think it's off the table. Think about your Puerto Rican Day parade. Think about the Pride parade. Normally, those events cost about $1 million or $2 million to just secure Yankee Stadium between certain months. The NYPD spends $2.5 million on security. We thought that was foolish to have a little amount of dollars tucked into the budget and savings. Let me just to put this into perspective, between July and September last year, the NYPD spent $10 million on overtime. Right now, no one is doing anything, right? There's not much going on the streets for them to have to patrol. And, obviously we want them to focus on major crime, but there's no need for those excess dollars during a time when our communities need food, when our young people need something to do. We could use those dollars much more wisely during this moment. So I just wanted to throw that in because that is how we are fighting on the front lines to make sure millennials can also, as we focus on this budget, that we can tuck in and make sure that, we're securing victories for our young folks as well. So with that being said, I want to thank all of you who are here, and I want to start by introducing Alain B., and he is the Department of Education's Queensborough Director of Intergovernmental Affairs. We have also Aleeia Abraham, founder of the Black Resource Network. Did I say that right?
Yep.
All right. Jessica Douglas, who also, and many of these young people, I like to say young, although I'm not that much older than them. We're probably the same age in many cases. But I want y'all to know we got young people doing the right thing right here in our community. We have all these powerful young people who are organizing, who are part of city agencies as well, but also doing a lot in the community. We also have Jessica Douglas, I think I said DDC, Deputy Director of Intergovernmental Affairs. And then we have Tyrell Hankerson, the Director of Community Outreach and Events for Councilmember Adrienne Adams. So I want to welcome them and give them an opportunity first just to talk about what they've been up to, respectively, to work and outside of work. And we'll start with Aleeia first. And Manny's on obviously as well. So we'll start with Aleeia and then we'll move through. What's going on? I see Alain there. What's going on? All righty. So we'll go to Aleeia first.
Sure. My name is Aleeia Abraham. I'm the founder of the Black Resource Network. We're primarily a Facebook group with just under 5,000 members. They're all Black. They're all from Queens. And we kind of rally around any issues that our members bring to us. So we've done small business crawls. We've done pantry. We're trying to find internship programs for youth for the summer. And I feel like many people on this panel are members. So, it's good to see everyone's face because we can't go outside. So I don't know everyone's face, but it's good to see you guys. And that's kind of what we do. We don't have a main focus, although, our main thing is just supporting Black people in Queens, whatever resources we can provide.
Awesome. All righty. We'll now go to Alain B.
Hey,
Alain,
I was on mute.
I hear you now.
Hey, it's a pleasure being on with such distinguished individuals. Shout out my councilman. I like to emphasize my councilman. So my name's Alain, and I've lived in Southeast Queens basically all my life. Very active on, so I'm very active in the NAACP, in the criminal justice chair. I'm also a Congressional Black Caucus fellow. Just really looking forward to having this conversation with you all today. And I want to thank the councilman for not just being my councilman, but for him being very supportive in a lot of issues pertaining to young millennials. Just looking forward to having this conversation with you. And I'm also an entrepreneur and a member of the Black Resource Network group on Facebook. But thank you.
Awesome. And now we'll go to Jessica Douglas. And let me just speak to folks who may be complaining that they're a little too young to be on this this Facebook and Zoom millennial event. Everybody's welcome. We're not going to discriminate against you because you're 70, and we could all learn from each other. And age is nothing but a number. So if you feeling like you 24 or 39, or you can stay on. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's go to Jessica Douglas now.
Thank you, Councilmember Richards. Once again, my name is Jessica Douglas, and I have been a resident of Southeast Queens since about 8-9 years old and never left. Southeast Queens is my heart. And every time I have a chance to help or to create or to motivate or to organize, I will always do that for Southeast Queens, regardless of the many hats that I wear in the community. So I work at DDC as the Assistant Director of Intergovernmental Affairs. And although we are in the midst of COVID, infrastructure work still needs to be done. And I'm just here to make sure that our community is still working and we're in our community doing everything that we need to do, and in the borough of Queens, that everything is going as smoothly as possible during this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you. Franny Lou is getting repaid right now, so I want to thank DDC for putting my budget money to work as well. And Laurelton Parkway was just done, so y'all are still out there working. So I want to thank you. I want to go to Ty now. I call him Ty, but Tyrell, to give us some introductory remarks.
Absolutely. No, Ty is fine, Councilmember.
All right, cool.
So my name is Ty Hankerson. Councilmember, thank you for having this. This is great conversation to have, especially amongst millennials. I serve as Director of Community for Councilwoman Adrienne Adams in District 28. I'm also a speaker, motivational speaker. I speak at a lot of high schools and middle schools in New York and in Jersey. Grew up in Queens, grew up in the South Ozone Park area, and then moved to the Rochdale area. And this is my home. So I'm excited to talk about people in our age group in our community today.
Awesome. Thanks, Ty. And true story, if I didn't know Ty from a fly on the wall, and I found out, and one of the reasons I actually got involved in politics, I had a friend who was killed, Pooba Darnell Patterson Jr. in 2003, and ended up meeting my local council member and volunteering for him and starting from the bottom and working my way up to chief of staff and then running for office. But it was Ty's cousin. And we found out, just in passing, I think at an event one day, we were having a conversation, or either at City Hall, and we were able to have that conversation. So it shows how small the world is. And I'm very proud of you, and proud you're carrying on Pooba's legacy as well. So let me jump into it. All righty, y'all. How has the pandemic affected you in the work your agency and community-based organization does? It has been tough out here. So let's talk about, how has it impacted us? I'll start with, I'll go to Alain first, and then we'll just work our way through the list. So Alain, just talk a little bit about how has it impacted the work you're doing day to day.
It's been a huge transition, as working for the DOE. Usually would have to go into the city to go to work, but now we literally had to figure out how to work remotely. But I feel like, so our responsibilities also have increased, right? Not just with my own responsibilities, but now making sure that students and stuff have the devices that they need. now as well as now we have grab and go sites where we're giving, food. We're actually feeding the city now, So I think the way that I look at my role, I've never looked at this position as just a job. I looked at it as, hey, this is an opportunity to serve, my community. And that's been my attitude going into this. And, just putting 1,000% in and making sure that, the residents of Queens have the resources and stuff that they need. Literally, I've always been a technology person, so I've always been working remotely. Now it's just the opportunity to actually, showcase my talents. And I'm glad that, I work with some amazing people, some amazing directors who are doing their own amazing work, across the city. I think one thing that this, pandemic has shown is to, make sure that you may have abilities and different things that, you can share and help your office succeed and help the people around you succeed. So, I take pride in that. But a lot of things have changed, like remotely in terms of meetings. I work at headquarters at Tweed. So, usually we have these nice tables and different things. Now we're meeting constantly via, whatever platform you decide. So it has changed. But I think individuals and people at the DOE have, met the challenge, and, we're doing the best that we can.
And just go quickly before we move next. And personally, I mean, that's your professional. Personally, how have you been coping with COVID, and being in isolation, and how's that going? So I want to hear that from everybody a little bit. Talk about your professional, but also speak about personally, how has it changed things for you? Have you looked at things a little differently?
I think it's really humbled me in a couple of different ways, and how I manage my time. Usually, in New York City, we're all, the New York City minute, we're running and gunning. But the pandemic has forced people to actually slow down. I think for me, one thing that I've been looking into is building new habits for myself, really taking a self-reflective look about where my career was going to be, like personal. And just to add this to it, my mom is also a essential worker. She's a nurse, and literally she's on the front line, literally saving lives and doing different things. So having to negotiate and navigate that, to make sure that she has the resources that she needs from us. Literally, like, when you hear about this pandemic, you think about your family members and stuff. So I've lost 3 family members during this pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's been intense, but it's been weird at the same time too. So what I would suggest to people is to make sure that you all have a therapist or somebody that you can talk to about this, because we're not living in normal times. It's weird for me because like maybe some of you, I come from a large family, and to have 3 people pass away within 72 hours of each other and not being able to go to their funeral, it's like weird. It's like, you got to get over this quick. But for me, I think I've been taking a lot of time for myself, you know what I mean? But I think even working from home, I think I'm working a lot more harder. And I don't know how that, I really don't understand that, but literally I've been, working a lot harder. But yeah, I'm just trying. We all are doing our best, and I just wish that everybody that you take a good self-reflective look about your life and things that you want to accomplish. And I think this is a really great time to do that.
Awesome. Well said. We're going to now go to Aleeia now.
Yeah. So I'll talk about professionally first, with the network. And it's, the pandemic has changed us tremendously. We're a resource network, so we try to address anything that our group members need. Pre-COVID, we talked about in-person events and, shout out the best jerk chicken in Southeast Queens and, those kind of things. But now we have to find, okay, where is the nearest pantry? And I haven't heard from the unemployment office. Did anybody have any information for me? And, how do I use Zoom? Is there, can somebody teach me how to use Zoom? So it's just so much more serious now, and just trying to help people get basic needs. And we just never did that before, so there's just like a pressure on us to try to help solve solve these problems. I can't just look at a post saying, you know, this family is homeless and I don't know these people, but if this is somebody a part of my group, I just feel compelled to try to help them. So it's just so much more of a different tone. But on a positive end, I've, you know, gotten to know a lot of people in my community so much more. You know, I've never spoken to these, you know, people in my communities so much just about coming together. I do see so many people coming together to help solve problems, more than I've seen before. So that is a plus, but you know, there is a pressure to help fix all of these problems that we now see in the group. But personally, you know, I feel like there's a lot of learning that I've done just with technology. And I'm a technology person, and it was just, you know, there's just so much more I know now. It's opened up so many different avenues and things that, you know, if this big thing didn't happen, I would have never learned these skills. So I am grateful for that. I'm sad that it had to come through tragedy, but I am grateful for, you know, those kind of things. The only thing I don't like is that the workday never ends, you know? When you go to your office, it finishes. But here it's like, it's just all the time. So I'm, you know, I can't wait till we find a middle for all of this and take some of the good and figure out, you know, how to move forward.
What's all right? We're gonna go to Ty now.
Yeah. So, you know, this whole crisis has had a great impact. And so I work in the community, so you get things firsthand, looking at some of the that's going on with, you know, us being at food pantries and how long the lines are at the food pantries. It's really, you know, something that makes you sit and look back and like, wow, what could we be doing more, or what could we be doing better? But I will also say, kind of being out there, you get to see people come together like never before. You get to see people helping each other that look different from each other. And so that's the thing that I would say on the work. But personally, it was pretty the first couple of weeks I actually had the virus, and I was out for like and so that was tough. But immediately after that, I'll share this on here. You know, being a parent is key. I actually had an anxiety attack, and you know, I didn't eat for like 3 days. And if you know me, if I didn't eat, then you know that there's a problem because eating is what I do. But you know, I did 3 days, and it really put me in a space mentally where you know what, I need to talk to somebody. I need to get out. I need to do something. So you know, and work wise, you know, that's really how it's been for me.
Oh, well, God bless you. I didn't know you. Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, and we're glad that you're okay and healthy, and you're a prime example to the world right now. You know that you can bounce back. So I want to thank you for being here and thank you for sharing your story. And God bless you, man. Jessica, we're gonna go to you.
So when this pandemic happened, I was so pissed. I had like, sometimes you don't know how much you do until a pandemic happened and you have to cancel everything.
Yeah.
So I had at least 4 dope events that was going to happen. And as I'm canceling, I'm getting pissed and even more pissed and even more pissed. And what made me even mad was the week before everything got shut down, I took off that Thursday and Friday from work. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna get a lot of stuff done. So I went to the gym and I was like, okay, I'm leaving next week to go to NAACP Next Gen, shout out. I'm part of their leadership. I'm part of their Next Gen program. And we were supposed to have a classroom session. So I'm getting my little suitcase and I'm like, yes, I'm about to pack this up. And then everything got shut down.
Yeah.
So after when everything got shut down, maybe a few hours to 24 hours, I took it in and I said, you know what? You were doing a lot. This is time for you to have some you time, you personal time. This is the time where you could reflect on a lot of things that you're doing or what's doing, what you would want to change or improve about yourself. And that's what I've been doing. And I've been lucky and grateful that no one close to me that I know of has been affected with the virus. So I'm very grateful that I'm also a homebody. You would never know that by the way I move, but I am a homebody. And the fact that I'm at home with my dog, and it's the first time she ever seen me so much in her life. She's happy, I'm happy, and that's about it. But in terms of work, the workload, some might think it won't increase, but it kind of did. And it's also trying, like when this happened, there was no real plan. So everybody's working on the fly, trying to figure out what they should do, can't do, and stuff of that nature. But once we adjusted, work has been a lot easier. At times it could be a lot, but when there's downtime, and I'm so grateful for DDC for having a whole bunch of trainings lined up. So after this, I'm gonna have a whole bunch of new skills to give back at work and my community.
All right, let's go to Manny, my chief of staff. And I'm gonna release him from being my chief of staff and let him speak openly, because he gets, he gets a lot from me all day and every day. But I just want to hear about his experience a little bit. Don't worry. You can't be fired on Sunday, although on Friday, I think, who got fired on Friday again on their day off? Craig? Was it Craig? I forgot. but go ahead.
Honestly, things have been crazy with our office. The work we do, we usually, we get paid. Thankfully, we're blessed enough to get paid to help people and work with people every day. So a lot of, I know the Black Resource Network, you guys are kind of like reshaping and changing what your usual activities are. Ours very similar, but it's everything. People come to us for everything. And when this hit, the council member, the whole team, we're like, there are places that aren't getting food. We noticed a lot of, you had seniors standing out in line at stores for hours, and it wasn't warm like it is today. It started off cold. And so the council member got us together and we started moving. We got we started a distribution of food to every one of the NYCHAs, but that didn't happen until we heard that the NYCHAs weren't getting the kind of resources that they need. We started being on top of things with a lot more when it came to our constituent services, had to shift the focus from waiting for people to come to us. And now we have to look at every single aspect of communications. We have phones, we have our answering machines, we're checking the Facebook, we're checking our emails, we're double checking everything and making sure that our constituent services are on top of things. So before all of this, I was managing 3 offices with our staff. We're all working together. It's 3 offices in 3 different places. Mm-hmm. However, working from home has been more difficult, because we're also doing deliveries to seniors and deliveries, but I can tell you that a lot of our staff, a lot of our team has stepped up, and that's really been beautiful. And I think that we've also built our trust in one another and in the work that we do for each other. And we've gotten to see things like, I think, I started off in nonprofits. So I was on the ground from years ago, but a lot of other people that are in politics don't get that experience on the ground like that. And I think this pandemic has forced, I'm seeing a lot of different offices kind of taking on that role of providing those services and making sure that everybody's getting fed, everybody's getting masks, everybody's getting the PPE that they need, advocating, we're doing advocacy, we're doing everything. So that's a long answer to a lot of, personally, it's been a wonderful personal experience. It's been definitely, you know what? I've had more time, like before I had no time to work out. I had no time to do laundry. I had no time for mental health. Like I was deteriorating, but this has really allowed me to have more time. We don't have night meetings now. I can do pull-ups. I can go for a run. The evenings, I have evenings now. So it's definitely been a blessing in disguise when it comes to the personal life.
Awesome. All righty. Did I get everybody? All righty, I did. So we're gonna go to the next thing. Clearly things have shifted, and I think Jessica spoke about remote working. And I wanted to hear just a little bit more about what are some methods we should be using and that you're using to effectively communicate to the world, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's your business, whether it's, you know, your community-based organization. So I wanted to hear, and sort of, I think where I'm going with this is we need to teach, like I was having a conversation with my own mother, right? Because she's like, I miss my grandson. And I'm like, well, you could do Zoom. Like my wife literally, and her family's in London, they do Zoom every Sunday. It's insane, like 20 family members. It's something I never thought of, right? You know, because we all get so busy. So I want to hear a little bit more about, you know, what ways should we be using social networking more effectively, and what ways have you found to be creative in utilizing it? So we'll go to Ty first, and then we'll break around and keep hopping around. So go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, so for me, social media has been key, especially, you know, you brought up your mom, my grandmother. So I refuse to go to her house. Like, even though mask on, I refuse to go to her house. And so now what's funny is she's literally been FaceTiming more often. So I'll get a FaceTime at 11 o'clock at night. And it's my first off, that's one. But anyway, but you know, just connect with people and stay connected, whether it be through Instagram. I find myself posting a lot more, just so that I can stay connected, because for me, I feel like connection is key. When you're in isolation and you're connected, it can drive you crazy. Like, so that's key for me, is staying connected.
Awesome. We'll go to Alain now.
Oh, I was on mute. I think for me, in terms of, I think the question was around, you know, what are we doing? Like what?
Like how are you using social networking, whether personal, business, what things would you speak to people out there who are finding it hard to communicate with their friends and family? What steps should they take, whether professionally or personally?
You know, I think the first thing that I'll say is, you know, when this pandemic, I'll never forget, it's always, something always happens on the weekend of my birthday. Like literally, I always tell my fiance this, it always happens, like something always happens. And this was the weekend of my birthday, but I would say that I didn't even have an opportunity to be really active on social media, because when this thing hit, you know, our DOE, we got to get our stuff together, you know what I mean? And I literally been hard at work. I literally, like, maybe after a week or two, actually back on social media, like, man, I think I've missed like 2 weeks of things happening. But what I would say is, you know, in terms of personally, I was basically explaining to people how to use, you know, certain platforms. You know, individuals would reach out to me personally on the side and say, hey, Alan, like, I'm thinking about using this platform. What are the pros and cons about this? You know, I think one of the things that my vision for our community and something that I've been working on is really showing seniors how to use certain platforms, right? I don't believe in the idea that, you know, people are just digitally inept, right? I feel like anybody can learn. And I feel like us as millennials need to be more active in, you know, helping our seniors navigate this. And I think professionally, I would say that the lovely thing about, I guess, city agencies is that we have this whole Microsoft Suite thing happening. So there's so many apps and stuff that I'm still learning how to use. Even though I think I'm a little advanced in tech, I'm still allowing myself to learn new things. So
nice. All right, we're gonna go to Aleeia.
Yeah, so for me, hard to believe, but I probably only FaceTime once in my life before COVID. I'm not a video chat person, and now it feels odd not to see someone's face when I'm talking to them, because, you know, I miss seeing people's face, and I didn't realize that until very recently. You know, before you saw everybody, you met them all over the place.
Yep.
I don't need to see your face again. But now, I'm finding I'm using every type of video app, and I've discovered all of them. I'm on a house party. I'm using this one. I'm using that one. And then after I learned that, I have to teach my mother how to use this, and that's really important. So, it's kind of echoing what Alan said. I think it's really important that, us as millennials really do take the time to teach our seniors, and even the ones that don't want to say they're seniors, but really don't understand social media. Just have that patience with them, and teach them how to use WhatsApp and the new Facebook Messenger. Did you see Facebook came out with its own?
I just saw it today. Yes,
I want to try that later on today. Yeah,
yeah.
They came out with their own Zoom, and they have like different rooms. Yes. So try it out when you can. I'm definitely going to try that on my meeting tonight. So it's just really fun discovering all of these free services that are out that really can help us see each other. So
awesome. Jess.
So just like Aleeia, maybe one time at most in my lifetime I've used FaceTime. But now I'm on it a lot more. There's times I show my face, sometimes I don't. Thank God for that option. Because sometimes But since this happened, like I can't see me going back to how it was before. Like I will definitely be using WhatsApp way more. I have family in Costa Rica, and there's times now we would be on a WhatsApp. I also have to take out another app, a free app, because you can't use WhatsApp on a landline unless you guys gotta tell me something better, different. But yeah, so I make calls to my grandmother very often now. It actually connected me with a lot of family members. Like I have time now to follow up and see how they're doing, just to check in. So I am grateful for that. In terms of work, we've been using videos way more. And I think even once this is over, we still gonna be using videos to communicate to each other. And nothing beats a phone, but I think this might beat a phone nowadays. So I can't see me going back.
Yeah, and let's stay on that for a second. I'm gonna hop around just on digital advocacy. Is that a thing? I see a lot of organizations now. A lot of people just got a lot of time on their hands. We even got the Twitter fingers things going. Even the PBA last week was attacking me on Twitter like all week. I guess they were bored. They were home all day. They didn't have much to do. I was just like, okay, I'll tweet back at you. I got 5 minutes to do that today. So is digital advocacy a real thing, and is it effective? Are there things people should be pushing for in this new world, in the digital world, being that we're all at home?
Okay, so
yeah, Jess, you can hop back on it. Sorry.
Okay, it's okay. For me personally, I think it is a thing, and this is our new norm now, and we have to fight for it. We have to protect it. We also have to grow from it, because in the next few years, this is going to be outdated, and we have to just keep moving forward with it. And I think that's all. I had something else, but that's all I have for now.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, we'll go to anybody who wants to answer it. We'll go to Aleeia, because I know she definitely does a lot of advocacy and really keeps, every once in a while I pop in and I can see questions when I'm on social media and her building the network. So I want to hear a little bit about that advocacy world.
Absolutely. The great thing specifically about Facebook is that, you can change people's mindset with just pumping with the right information all day. I'm all for digital advocacy, but I don't like when people don't have a plan. So make sure you have a plan and you're not just kind of randomly attacking people with no real structure and plan. Use your social media to kind of really rally your base around a topic. I think it's very effective. I'm all for that.
Awesome.
The same thing you do offline, you can do it from staying right at home.
Yep. Awesome. All right. We're going to go to Alain and then Ty on that. Digital advocacy and Manny.
Man, I could spend the entire next 2 hours discussing digital advocacy. I think digital advocacy is something that's always been around, but if used effectively, it can be very potent. I think what I would recommend to anybody that's listening to really get an understanding of just how important data is, especially digital data. I don't know if anybody knows this, but data has become more profitable than oil itself. There's a documentary on Netflix called The Great Hack that I really recommend everybody take a look into. And it basically looks into Cambridge Analytica and what they did with data mining individuals and how they influenced the election that our current president basically won. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to delve. But yeah, digital advocacy, definitely important. And I think what we need, so as a union person, as a union delegate for the great local of 372, DC 37, and everybody, usually unions, like we go out to actions and we have people that come. And I think the same the same can be said when it comes to digital marketing or getting together online for something, right? I mean, if you're a voice on these particular platforms, if you have like 20 or 30 people behind you, like for example, what Miss Abraham is doing with, her group, it can be very influential. But I think digital advocacy is there. It's not going anywhere, and you better learn or get ran over, as they say.
Let's go to Ty and Manny, because they're in the political space. So I want to hear their thoughts on political advocacy, or definitely in digital advocacy on the internet.
Yeah, no, I feel like digital advocacy is extremely, extremely important, especially in the time that we're in now. We've seen over the last few weeks, we've seen Black people harassed by police. We've seen cases like the Ahmaud Arbery case. All these things through social media. And it shows us how important it is, but two, how effective it is. Just from people, particularly the video that went out, we see now these, the two gentlemen from the Arbery case got arrested. But what if we didn't hear about it? What if no one ever posted it? And it would probably a blind eye turn to it more than likely. So it's extremely important, and I encourage people, if you have something to say. Facebook gives people who, unfortunately, it gives the wrong people a stage too, but it does give you a stage to say something. It gives you a space to stand for what you believe. So I definitely encourage people to use digital advocacy, especially through social media.
Well, some really good points there, Manny.
Yeah, so with digital advocacy, it's inevitable right now, and it has to be embraced, or you're not going to get anything done. But I do think that one thing that should be noted is how you do it. Like if you're just going on Twitter, and you got to know what platform, you got to, kind of like Aleeia said, you got to have a plan. But let's say the Arbery case, you had a lot of prominent people get behind it. Shaun King got behind it, before everybody else, but he has a huge platform. And it is something that it is an injustice. It should have been addressed months ago, but we're only hearing about it 3 months later. So that's because you didn't have a Shaun King behind it. And he uses social media. He has a huge platform on Twitter. But if I went on Twitter and started using that, it would have went nowhere. Or anything I post on Twitter goes nowhere. But if I go to Facebook, I know Facebook, that's where I get more engagement. So I'm not going to waste time on Twitter if I need to get people riled up, or I want people to know about a certain issue. I'm going to go to Facebook for me, or I'm going to go to Instagram if it's something that I can take a picture of, and I know people will get interested. So I think it's people need to look at it and look at it critically and really be smart with it, or you'll just be wasting your time. But right now we need to embrace it, because that is the future. And that's the only way we're going to advocate, be able to get the word across.
Can I add something?
Yep.
I also wanted to piggyback on what Manny was talking about. But, when we use these platforms, I don't think sometimes we think about what we post. And for anybody that's listening, your digital footprint is basically your reputation. And forever. And I don't think people understand that even if you delete stuff off Facebook, there's a file where everything is saved. There's a gentleman who actually sued Facebook, and he's from London. I mean, I could go in on that, but I think it's very important that when you do use these platforms, that you post factual information as well. Because what we notice is that a lot of people are posting things that are not factual, that don't have data, don't have anything to it. It's just somebody randomly wrote, a news article, and now, people are sharing inaccurate information. And
it moves so fast.
Very fast. And I think what we need to understand is that the inaccurate information that we have the potential of sharing can literally affect people's lives, literally. And I don't think people think about that when they hit the share button. But that's what I wanted to add.
Well, who you telling? I mean, I live in this space in this political world where anybody can put anything out there. There could be no facts attached to it. Like I got a text last night that I was sick. I was like, I'm sick. What? Somebody saw it on social media. I'm like, I don't know. I think I feel okay. Last time I was sick, it was like last year. And then I remember when COVID begun, the tenant leader at Pomanac Houses texted me, I hope everything's okay. I'm praying for you. And I'm like, well, thank you for praying for me. Did you hear something was wrong? And she thought she heard I had COVID. I was like, I don't, but it's just very interesting how fast information travels, and we all have to be, careful. In my space, I have to be very thick-skinned, as you can imagine, because sometimes I want to respond, but I can't. I pick my battles, but it is a very interesting space to sort of live in a digital advocacy world as well. All right, I want to move on a little bit now. Let's talk about what does success look like during this moment, right? For millennials. I mean, what does it look like? What does the future look like? And I know it's a hard question to ask. Are we going to all be working remotely for the rest of our lives? Do you think we're going to go back to the regular 9-to-5 job after this? So I wanted to hear just a little bit about your thoughts around what does success look like for millennials, especially in the post-COVID world. I know it's a loaded question, and it's impossible to answer the question in totality here, because none of us actually know it all in totality. But I wanted to just get your thoughts on what do you think the future holds now that we've all been isolated. We know, like, community boards are starting to meet digitally. So even if you attend meetings in the evenings, that's happening now. I know Alain is having virtual hearings. The DOE hearings are now digital. I've held hearings. I had the police commissioner in my little office space in my house last week testifying before me, and telling my son, you need to go upstairs because you can't be yelling while I got the commissioner and the rest of the world is watching. But we're in a different space now. So I'm interested in hearing, how do you think we're going to transition after this post-COVID world? And what, and I guess I'll go into part B of that question after this. What should millennials be doing during this moment when unemployment is soaring? And it's, our small businesses are definitely hurting. A lot of young people have lost their jobs. What should we be thinking about? Should we be more creative? Should we be thinking about social media and how to galvanize that or use that as a tool to build our companies or own businesses as we move into the future? As Jeff Bezos becomes a trillionaire, I think he's going to be the first trillionaire in history, right? So just want to hear y'all thoughts on that. And I'll start with Jessica. Actually, I started with Jessica the last time. I will start with Manny first, and then we'll go to Aleeia, followed by Aleeia. We'll go to Ty. So go ahead, Manny. I want to hear how you're going to answer this question.
All right. So right now, I think it's going to be tough for young people. Unfortunately, what does success look like? If you're not, let's say you don't have a job, let's say you lost a job, I think there's a lot of opportunity right now to try to explore your interests and build new skills and start to really work on something that you might care about, rather than having to focus on but not everybody has that luxury. People need to make money. And so I think it's going to be even tougher for young people that are just finishing school. How do you do an internship right now? How do you start building those relationships that you need in order to get that job? How do you apply when now you're competing with millions of people? Everybody's online. Everybody can submit their resume to these jobs. And then you have a lot of jobs where they stopped hiring, they froze everything. So I don't mean to paint such a a dark picture, but I think so. I think there's two things. You got to face the reality. The reality of things is you have to adapt. You have to start thinking differently. If, let's say, somebody wants to work in our office, shoot us. You can't work in our office. Our offices are closed for the next 2 months. But if you shoot us an email and let's say you're interested in still interning and learning new stuff, we'll try to find you opportunities. But you have to be proactive. You have to start doing the reaching out. There aren't events for you to go to, but there are video conferences you can be doing. You can get on LinkedIn. I know lots of people on LinkedIn. Just shoot people emails. Try to do a video conference with them. Ask them if they'll do a FaceTime. Ask them if they'll do a phone call. Just build the relationships the best way you can, but also use the time right now to, I think for young people, the best way to go is, and I'm not as young as I look. I look very young, but I'm.
Yeah, you look 15.
I wish I was young, but yeah, just I think right now is the time to explore things, learn new things, get on those audiobooks, get on those free classes that the Ivy Leagues are offering, learn some and meet people via social media. Shoot your shot and ask everybody, anybody, no matter what their position is, don't be intimidated. It's a message that through a messenger or whatever, and start building those networks.
Alrighty, good. I think we're going to Aleeia next.
Yeah. So a lot of what I'm going to say is going to mirror what Manny said, evolve or become extinct. You have to, and humans know how to do this. We can adapt. We can change. We've been through this before in one way or another. Find these new skills. You still need to make money. You have skills. And yes, now that we're online, everyone's open to all opportunities, but you're included in that. You know what I mean? Like, I do social media marketing and some of my clients are overseas. And if I was in an office in a traditional job, I wouldn't be able to do that. So find ways to make this work for you. And yes, use your downtime to learn new skills that you can now apply for these new virtual positions, because millennials are young enough to understand the technology. This is what we're known for. Make it work for you. And as far as just regular jobs, going into the office, remember when everybody's boss told them, oh no, you can't work from home. That's not going to work. That's not effective. No, I need to see you. I need to see you. Now we've proven that we can do this and we can do it well. So I don't know exactly how we're going to transition back. I don't think there's any back for us. I think we have to find some kind of balance, and whether it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or some kind of scheduling, but I just can't see everyone, millions of people going in the train and going to work every day. And that can be a plus. You have, you remove the time for transportation, so you have more time to do things for yourself. But just make sure that you're still getting outside, because I'm afraid of that as well, where everybody's just going to be inside for a long time. But we can do this. We can do this. We can be very successful with this. I think we have the ability, like I said, evolve. We have to do it.
Awesome. All right, Ty, Alain.
Yeah. So I just wanted to piggyback off what Aleeia said. She mentioned adapting. After this is all over, the workspace is going to look different. How we go about going into fields and careers will look different. But I also want to perspective that I think during this crisis, there's birthing of entrepreneurs, the creative that's happening, because this crisis forces people to think in a way that they've never thought before. Force people to work in a way that they've worked before. Also, to see issues in a way that they haven't seen before. For me specifically, I've been in schools since I was like 1 or so. And it wasn't until now that I realized we need our young people. I'm saying young people, but like Manny looks young, but he's older. I look old, but I'm younger. But anyway.
No, you still look young. You do it all right. You got those berries and juices going in your hair. Look what I got left.
But we need our teenagers more involved. I realize, even going from the food pantries, a lot of the times it's our seniors that serve at food pantries. Now our seniors can't come out. So it's causing the roles to it's causing people to kind of ignite a fire that they may have not had before, and that fire just looks different depending on what field you're in. So yeah, it's birthing, like I said, entrepreneurs and creatives during this time.
I love that. All right, we're gonna go to Jessica.
You're supposed to go to Alain first. He said his name.
Alain, just sorry, I was having a senior moment. He started talking about seniors. I was having a senior moment. Alain, then Jess.
Oh no, I think that I think the advice that I would give is just be prepared for anything. I think one thing that this pandemic has proven is that, there's no script for this. So I think we need to be prepared to go back to work, but if not, we still need to prepare to, we have to learn how to pivot as a community. I think also what I'll add too is, what I'm hearing when I watch the news, I'm hearing like, hey, when are we going to go back to normal? And I'm hoping that, whatever millennial is listening now, I don't think we should go back to normal. And what I mean by that is beyond just like using technology, I feel like a lot more of us need to become more active in the political world. And what I mean by that is understanding how government works. And, it's crazy. Like I would have never thought, when this pandemic hit, I had people who said to me, Alain, politics is not my thing. I don't care about it, this, that, and the third. To people, those same people losing their jobs and asking me, hey, Alain, how do I file for unemployment? How do I know these different levers and these different things? And literally the conversation with them, that 10, 15 minutes is helping them get through this. You know what I mean? So I think we need to be more proactive in understanding, who's in office, how they're supporting us, but then also how to have your voices heard as well. I think it's extremely important, and I can't stress that enough. And we can't afford not to vote in the next presidential election. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but we can't afford. As Manny was saying,
well, you may not say it, but I damn sure. Don't vote for Trump. I'll say that.
With all the things that we were just talking about, especially piggybacking on what Manny was talking about, the data is very clear when it comes to young millennials and what we're facing. So for me, when I hear people and they say, yo, Alain, like, I'm not voting in the next election, I'm not doing this, then I really don't think you really understand what's at stake. And I feel like us as young people, we need to figure it out. And there's a lot of seniors in Southeast Queens that have not only the experience, but the institutional knowledge, who are willing to spend time with us to really get to know this. That's it.
That's great points. Jess, now on to you.
So I agree with everything that I've heard so far regarding this matter, but the one thing that I will add is the mental health piece. You can't do anything that anybody mentioned if your mind is not there. And being isolated for this long, I know is driving a lot of people nuts and insane, and they can't focus on the next step because they're too busy trying to get through the next few minutes. So I will definitely encourage getting your mind right. Go seek therapy. It's great that now you could do it virtually. And if you think it don't work, it might be that one person. Try another person until you find the right person for you. Because once you get that together, you can look at the next steps. Like for me, I plan on working out more. I was starting that when this whole thing happened. So I done got myself an elliptical. I'm gonna get on it one day. I don't know if it's today, but one day I'll get on it. In terms of moving forward with the work life and how that might look like, I'm hoping that maybe we don't have to come in 5 days a week moving forward. Maybe we could come in 3 days a week and work remotely 2 days. This just proved we really don't need to be in the office. And for some of us, and a lot of us who live in Southeast Queens, you're talking about a 2-hour plus commute to get to work. So
say that again. Facts.
So I'm just hoping moving forward, we take that into consideration. We do not need to go back. It's about moving forward, as Aleeia said, and I hope I'm saying it right. It's either we adapt or be extinct, and I don't think we are meant to be extinct in this time.
Yep. Let's go back to Alain, because he touched on, it was great that you touched on this, getting involved in the community, whether it's politically or with community-based organizations. what are some of the safe ways to be helpful? How can young people get involved? And I think you hit some really valid points, and there were points even significant to when my community was hit during Hurricane Sandy. You know, we were used to the elders being the ones on the front lines doing everything. You think about civic and tenant association infrastructure, right? A lot of the heavy lifting was being done by our elders. And now it seems like, and I've been very proud to watch groups like the Black Network, many of our young people, I love seeing it on social media, them delivering food to seniors or just getting their hands dirty out in the field. And I'm interested in knowing, you know, do you think that's a good thing for all of y'all? How can people get involved? I know Aleeia has a network, but even with some of you who are in respective organizations, how can people become a part of what you're doing? But you're absolutely 100% correct that we now, you know, have to adapt. And we have been so used to our elders doing so much in the heavy lift. Now it's the time of need where we have to do it. We have to actually start to, as we look to the future, transition into some of those leadership roles at the food pantries, at the civic association, politically, whether it's the, you know, different seats being held. And I could say that being, I think, the youngest elected official elected in Southeast Queens, right? You know, how do we move our young people into the space? How could they get involved? So I'll start with you, Alain, since you brought up that point. And then I just to, before I get to you, I also want to say, just as a political, right, there are levers of power that we can pull, right? You know, so when you talk about unemployment, many of you may be getting questioned on some of that stuff. How do we improve our communications? And it doesn't mean we have to all love each other and like each other, because I think that gets lost in the conversation. This is not about personalities or, you know, are we best friends, right? And we need to be able to project to the world, whether you like your elected official or not, whether you have their opinion of them or not, they have an obligation, we have an obligation to serve you. So how do we strengthen those networks? So I want to go back to Alain, since he stole my question with his answer. And then I want each one of y'all to touch on the census a little bit.
Yes.
Right? You know, we got this census going on, and everybody think they too cool to do the daggone census. But yet we're gonna be the communities most impacted after this thing, when they get the vaccine eventually and somebody becomes a billionaire. Our communities are still going to be the ones left behind. And if you don't believe it, you look at the stimulus packages coming down, and how is that money reaching the small businesses in our communities? Very little of it, right? I got a bill that we're drafting. I'm going to be talking about that next week to hold people accountable. And 7% of those loans and grants are coming into our communities, but 56% of those loan and grant opportunities are going to Manhattan, right? So how do we get young people more involved in this conversation? And I know I'm speaking to the converted. I'm very happy and proud of each and every one of you on this line, and so many more young people who are out there. So I want you to touch on census, touch on now that transition of what and how people can get involved in what's going on the ground right now in South Queens and across the borough. So Alain.
Yeah, I'll try to be super brief so we get other people in on this. But I think before any young person or any millennial says, hey, I want to get involved, I think before you even do, I think you need to be self-reflective and figure out what's your focus. I'll expand that on that even further. I think finding out what issue really burns you on the inside. Just find that one issue and find people in the community that you can connect with and really do some work behind that. And I think that's very important. I think too many times in our community, we have individuals who want to do everything at the same time. Like, I want my hand in this. And usually what happens is, like, you miss the opportunity to really get focused on one area and really do that one area great. There's a person that I follow on social media. His name is Simon Sinek, and he has a book that's really awesome. And I would recommend this book, and I recommend his YouTube stuff any day of the week. And he has this quote. He goes, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And I really think that's important for us to realize. People want to understand why you do something, not just what you do. The next thing that I think is important for young professionals and young millennials, especially centered around Southeast Queens, is, you know, with the pandemic, I'm seeing a lot of, and this is just my personal opinion, right? Like, I see a lot of amazing things happening across our community, people doing different work in different areas. What I want to say to people is, doing work for your community doesn't have to be a competition, right? We definitely need more intergenerational collaboration. And, you know, I should have started the conversation with this, but, you know, I think one thing that I want to see more in our community is people working together. And I think what I see a lot is people trying to do everything on their own. This game, you don't win this game in the long run doing the work by yourself, right? I think doing community work requires a certain amount of humbleness, you know, and I think a lot of people think that they know what elected officials do, but I guarantee you, if you saw the councilman's calendar or any elected's calendar, you'd be like, I don't know how the heck you guys do it. And I honestly don't even understand how you guys do it and how you guys do it. That's a whole nother thing for another day. Yeah, I think for the census, if individuals, and shout out to Melvin Miller and all the amazing people who are doing some amazing work. But at the end of the day, I think our congressman actually had something on Friday in terms of organizing, you know, young professionals and millennials via social media. At the end of the day, like, you know, you hear people in urban communities, they say like, yo, I'm about my money. But then when I say to them, like, are you really about your money? Have you filled out the census yet? Because if you're really about your bread and you're really about your money, you would understand just how important the census is. You know what I mean? So, yeah, for me, I just think, one, find your passion and your focus. Simon Sinek is a great guy to really focus in on that. Intergenerational collaboration and working together. And I'll say this one last time and I'll be quiet. Doing work in the community should not be a competition, period. We should look for ways to collaborate. There are things, and you know, I hope to say that I'm a smart guy, but there are things that I don't know anything about that I learn from seniors constantly that I can't learn in the book. You know what I mean? And, you know, it's sad to say, but, you know, a lot of our seniors don't have, you know, many years left, and they have that institutional knowledge and the different things that we need to basically capture if we're going to push our community forward. That's it.
Awesome. That was great. I want to go to Aleeia because she's actually been one of the people who've mastered this, like building that collaboration out with respective organizations and businesses around the community and elected officials. So I want to hear from her on this.
Okay, let's break down your questions now. What is the first part of your question again?
All right, so sorry, because there was a whole lot there.
That one.
How can young people get involved? I mean, we should go there.
I mean, they need to come out to American. They need to come out to American Legion. Yeah, come out to American Legion on Wednesdays and help pack these trucks and lift these boxes. We need help. It cannot be these seniors out here lifting these boxes. They've done this already. You're not doing anything. You're home. Come out and give us a hand out there. You know, that's a great way to start to get involved, or whatever pantry is near you. You know, let's help get people the basic needs. You know, it's a lot of work. So if you're able to volunteer, I do say go out and volunteer. You can help carry on the message digitally too. We've all filled out the census, but make sure we're still pushing that message in our social media boxes. You know what I mean? People listen to you. If you're, you know, I did a whole influencer thing with Melville a couple of days ago, and an importance of, if we all come together and say, no, this is what we're doing as Black millennials and queens, people will listen. So we have to make sure we're kind of together on that message as well. And what was the other part of your question?
I want you to talk about the census.
Yes.
And I mean, what millennials should be doing.
I don't know why it's so hard to get anybody to fill out the census. It really is so easy. I don't really get it. I mean, we're on these hour-long, 2-hour-long calls talking about the census, and the census takes 10 minutes. And you have people on the call that will watch the whole 2 hours and don't fill out the 10-minute census. I really don't get it. It's like, what are you doing? So you know, it's frustrating for me to hear that people aren't filling out.
Can you break it down? No, I need you to go a little further on the census, because we need to speak our generation's words.
On the why
fill it out? Can you speak to, you know, a young person watching this from home today? Can you speak to them on why the census is important? They're not comprehending it. So I want to break it down. I don't want to break it down 250 Broadway. I want you to break it down like South Jamaica style, Southeast Queens style on why this census is important. I don't want you to be politically correct, and I want you to break it down on why it's important.
I mean, for me, the census is simple. If they don't know how many people are here, they're not going to give us any money. They already don't want to give us any money, but now we're giving them a reason not to give us any money. We need to say, yo, we have 10 people and these 10 people need shoes. If only 3 people show up, 10 people going to have to share 3 shoes. It doesn't make sense. We need to know that you're here in order for the neighborhood to get the money to be able to have these people here. We need resources, bus fare, hospitals, education. We need to be counted. I don't know why people are having a hard time with understanding that concept. So just write it down. Take the 10 minutes. I'll stay on Zoom with you. Let's just fill this out.
I like that. She got gully. That's right. I like the whole shoes analogy. That was perfect.
It doesn't make sense.
Love it.
You know.
I want to go to Manny now.
I'll start with the census. Now, I hear you, Aleeia, and I agree with almost everything you said.
Sure.
But the problem, like everything you said is right. The issue is that some people just don't care, or they don't understand the impact. Like when you say funding, people don't really understand the impact of what that can mean.
I'm going to interrupt you.
We're going to be.
Absolutely. But that's why us as millennials just have to say, forget if you care or not. We just got to make it the thing to do, because people react to that peer pressure. Who cares if they understand? Well, as long as we understand and we come together and decide this is going to be the cool thing to do, people will follow us. Forget it. People fill out the census for a lot of different reasons. Figure out all those different reasons, and we have to come together and say, all right, we're going to hit it. But you can continue now.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think we need to, as young people, especially young people involved, people are sometimes looking at you, at us, and we don't even understand, how many people are watching us and watching what we're doing. And if all of us are saying census, 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 the message is gonna get across. And we just got to keep doing that. And you got to keep doing it until we can't do it anymore, until everybody fills out the census. It is very simple. The concept is very simple. And what was the first part of the question? Because I know there was two.
Sorry, census, and then how could young people get politically engaged, and why should they in this moment of COVID-19? What are some things they should and could be doing?
Right now, there are a number of elections happening. I think when it comes to elections, it's very important to be involved, because these are the people that are going to represent you. These are the people that are going to go to Albany or going to go to Borough Hall, and these are the people that are going to fight for resources, and they're going to do it in different ways. You should be involved right now. And if you don't know where to start, where you start is if you're watching this Zoom or if you're watching this Facebook Live, then message Councilmember Donovan Richards, message myself, message anybody, any of the panelists up here, and ask them how to get involved. There are so many different ways. There are so many different pantries that need help right now with everybody staying inside. I'm seeing at a lot of the pantries, it was mentioned that seniors are the ones who have been carrying the pantries. Seniors are still carrying the pantries. The seniors are still putting their own health at risk to make sure that everybody who needs food is getting food. So we could be out there helping a lot more. We could be, young people. And when I say young people, I mean anyone from 15 to 40, or maybe even great. Let's go to 50. 15 to 50, y'all are young, and you could be out there helping, and we don't have to have Major Sweeting putting her life on the line to make sure everybody's getting some food. We could be out there, and when you look at the numbers, young people are doing better than older people when it comes to COVID-19. So we're less at risk. You should still be wearing your mask, your gloves, and washing your hands, but at least you have a better chance of getting through the illness if you did, God forbid, get it. So message us if you want to get involved. There are so many different ways to get involved right now.
All right, I think, who didn't answer? Ty, did you answer? Who did I leave? Ty and Jess, did I get you?
Jessica?
I can jump in real quick. I think everyone pretty much said it all in regard to getting involved. What I can take it further by saying, especially with reaching Generation Z, you have to explain to them why it's important, but you got to bring it to their level. And like you said, Councilmember, you said don't be politically correct. So you got to tell them, like, bro, you was upset that your grandmother, couldn't make it to a hospital. She had to go to a hospital in emergency because there's no hospital in your community. Stuff like that. You're upset because you got a brand new car and it's tore up now because the roads are crazy. All of these things, bring it to a personal level. Oh, so the census and elections, all of that has to do with all these things. Yeah, just bringing it to their level, I think gets them more involved. One of my professors, I was at St. John, said to me, most people don't care about most of the time until next them. And so if they're not shown why this is important or how it's, you won't care. But it's our job, like Manny and Aleeia said, it's our job to make sure that they understand. If we have somewhat of influence or have care of a young person, reach out. I spoke to a young brother last week who was one of my students. I used to work at SQPN, and he got into some stuff or whatever. And so, reached out. We spoke for a little bit, and I said to him, would you be willing to let me mentor you? Conversations like that. And he said, no, definitely. He said, I need guidance. So a lot of young people are looking for it. They just need people to show them the way.
Nice. And let's go back to, I want to go to Alain now and move to the. Oh, sorry, Jess.
It's okay.
Alain,
I'll be quick. So some people just don't know where to go. I'm hoping that throughout this, it'll be less and less of an excuse, because I feel like every single day there are stuff like this that's out for people to get more information as to ways that they could get involved. And just real quick, I just want to plug in that 100 Suits and Senator Comrie's office are looking for drivers. So just to load up the car and just drop it off in front of these seniors' house, no contact at all. So if that's something that you're interested in, please feel free to reach out to me. I have no problem making the connection for anyone. And in terms of the census, so we all have our conversations, and me and Tunisia, we just happen to have a conversation to talk about the census and the elections and stuff like that. And there's so many changes that's happened. Like, it's hard to keep track of everything. So I know if me and Tunisia is like, what's going on, everybody else, a good portion of people will be like, what is going on as well. So knowledge is power. And we felt like we need to collaborate and host a whole event about what to expect during elections. And that's the perfect time. We was like, let's add the census in it. So that event will be taking place on the 23rd, this Saturday. That's coming up at 2:30 for people to tune in if they want to watch and learn more about everything that's happening, because it affects us greatly. And this is not the time to be ignorant, and this is not the time to find excuses to be ignorant. We have to be smart, and we have to make the right decision. I can't tell you what the right decision for you is, but as long as you have all the facts, then you can make the right decision that best fits you. And in terms of young people getting involved, I got to plug in the NAACP Young Adults Committee that I'm the co-chair of. Feel free to reach out to me, and we will definitely invite you to a meeting and learn about all the different things that's happening in Southeast Queens and the community.
Awesome. Did I get everybody? Who? That's your dog, Jess?
It is.
Oh, that dog is like, I want my attention back. What you doing? What you doing on Zoom so long? You better Zoom over here. So we're going to start to lighten it up a little bit, but I did have some questions from people who are tuning in. I'll start with Frank Joseph. His question was, any best practices? Can any of you share any best practices around digital platforms? Well, actually, networking. Share recommendations on how to communicate to communities that don't have access to digital platforms. So there is a digital divide in our communities too. I guess Alain could talk about some of the work he's doing to make sure that every kid in our community gets a laptop who's part of the Department of Education. But what could we do? What does teleworking look like if you don't have the internet, or you don't have these platforms? And I guess Alain could hop into that. I think I asked the question the right way.
Yeah, so I just want to reference something too as well, going back to the census and why individuals don't, in our age demographic, don't fill out the census. And I think one thing that I'll just drop here, there's a gentleman by the name of Dave Meslin, and he did a TED Talk, and it's called The Antidote to Apathy. We try to understand why are people apathetic, right? And there are a lot of historical stuff as why people who come from certain communities don't care about government, right? And that's part of a much larger conversation, but I would direct anybody who has YouTube to go on YouTube and look that up. Dave Meslin, The Antidote to Apathy. It's really excellent stuff. Now, in terms of, using platforms, and I think to Frank's question was that, how do we get individuals involved who usually don't use these platforms? And I think what I'll say is that the amazing thing about the internet is how big it is, right? And how much access and access to different platforms that people have. I think the mindset living in the United States is like, we look at Facebook, we look at WhatsApp, and we think that, oh, these are the be all end alls, right? But if I were to tell you that in China, they use WeChat, for example, WeChat is even bigger than that,
It's big, yep.
right? Larger than Facebook, and the stuff that they do on WeChat is like absolutely like, next generation stuff. And there's a documentary on YouTube as well. Something that I loved. I don't really watch too much TV, but I do watch documentaries. There's something by Frontline, which is on PBS. It's called In the Age of AI, and they actually go into looking into how China is building a surveillance state, but also look at some of the unicorn companies that they have. I think, Frank, to your question, I think every community has a particular platform that they use. And I think it's finding out which platform it is and then inserting yourself on that platform and then communicating with them. Like, for example, like I never knew what TikTok was. I didn't even know if it existed. I had young people who were like, yo, Alan, you should really get on this. And I really had no idea. And it's just, wow. People have preferences on what they want to use. And I think it's important to understand that, what platform people use. But then also as well, I think sometimes we forget that when we look at social media and we look at the internet, we think that people only communicate on those platforms. There are different subsets of marketing, different touch points that we need to realize. Like, social media cannot work without in-person communication. And I'll say that again. You can't, there's no way with all the internet, with all the different platforms and different things that are available, you can't get around communicating with somebody one-on-one. That's the most powerful thing ever, and I think literally, I think having all these platforms and having access to the internet, I think we forgot, how to communicate in person. And I feel like this pandemic has reminded everybody just how important it is to communicate in person.
Awesome. I don't know if Aleeia wanted to touch on that too. I think you muted.
No, Alan got it. I completely agree with what he said.
Okay, all right, awesome. All righty, so we're gonna begin to just go through, have a little fun, because I know we always do the heavy stuff. So, with no gyms open and parks closed, how y'all staying in shape? Are you on a slim, slow diet like me, or how y'all doing out there? What do you do to stay in shape, or for a peace of mind, for your mental health? Just go through some of the things you've been focused on doing.
I mean, I've been lifting up sandwiches every day and cooking at home. But you know what? I do want to shout out Jeff Macias, who's a personal trainer in Southeast Queens. He has his own studio, and that's my personal trainer. And he's been really on top of me. Like, he follows my social media. So when I post food, he's like, yo, what's up with that? That's not what he does. You know what I'm saying? But I think
I had to block Jeff.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
But I think Jeff is really dope at what he's doing, because now he's basically made the pivot and he's doing, in-person, like, trainings via, Google Duo or, whatever platform that you're using. Like, before working at, next to City Hall, I used to be so tired. I'd be like, yo, I gotta go to the crib. Now it's no excuse. Jeff is like, hey, Alan, when are we getting together? Have an hour, you know what I'm saying? But I think
You could
You
say
know-
you need the social distance though.
Yeah,
That-
there we go.
I can't see you.
Yeah, but I think yeah, and you know, another thing too that I feel like the advantage of having the internet is literally you could YouTube a 30-minute like, you know, workout that you could do from your laptop, and it's really, you know, amazing stuff. So I think it's no excuses now. You know, I gotta get ready for my special day, which had to be pushed back next year. But you know what I'm saying? But it's all good. It gives me more time to get rid of the, you know, the blubber. You know what I mean?
It's just love handles, man. It's all right. All right. Anybody else want to chime on the workout stuff?
Yeah, I mean, oh, go ahead, Jessica.
Thank you. Like for me, I don't know how much I've gained or lost. You know, a scale is a negative thing in my life. I step on it once every 3 months. But the moment I realized that we were going to be here for an extended period of time, I bought myself an elliptical. You can see right there.
Oh, nice.
And I got it. It was really affordable on Amazon. So I've been looking at it for a while, but now I have a lot of accountability partners that's gonna make sure I'm on this elliptical at least every like 2 or 3, maybe 4 times a week. And I also have a dress for Alain's wedding, and now I have no excuses. I can't gain weight. The only thing I could do is just lose it all.
We're going jogging right after this. Come on, we got.
Go ahead, Aleeia. I think anybody else wanted to chime in here?
I just
on
wanted
the workout
to say that
space.
I live right next door to Springfield Park, and I've lived here right next door. Like
Always
I'm
there.
looking
I
out the
live
window,
there.
the ice cream truck is bothering me, which is why I have to keep pressing mute. And I barely go there, but now thank God the parks remained open, and that's really been a place that I've done my walking and go feed the ducks and just kind of look out and kind of get my peace at that park. And it's so close. It's 1-2 doors down, so I really have no excuse. I still have a safe space that I can kind of go outside and get my mind right. So I'm grateful for that.
And if you ever are up there early in the morning, you will find me there. I'm like there like 7:30 or something because my son has remote learning.
Yeah.
So I will go there and walk for like yesterday I was there like for an hour. It's just a beautiful park. So take advantage of the parks in your neighborhood that we invest all this money into too.
Yeah.
But
I use
it's
it
been
all
amazing.
the time now.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Serenity there. Yeah. Go ahead, Manny.
So I have not had the opportunity to work out in a long time because work is so demanding. But since we've started this, every day I try to do like a 4-mile run. At first, it started off with just me being able to run down a block, but now I can do like 4 or 6 miles straight. And
4 miles.
yeah, with the weather getting nicer, you can, it's just consistency. I've been doing a lot of pull-ups. I've been doing intermittent fasting. So it's just water and coffee in the morning. And then I got time to cook. I don't have to eat Chinese food every day. So I've definitely took a step back with the carbs. And then I do push-ups whenever I can. So
and how long it take for you to run those 4 miles? I'm interested in
1 hour. Well, 45 minutes, about 45 minutes.
Okay.
But
not bad.
I'm not trying to kill myself. You got some people that run real fast, but nah, I'm just, but you know, and then when I go on these runs, I get to see things. You get to see like things in the community. You get to see, like yesterday I saw the cops. I saw parks staff giving out masks and stuff. And I wasn't seeing that 2 days ago. So, you know, you get to be out in the community, seeing what's going on. I've also seen that there's a lot of seniors out there too. Seniors doing a lot of this exercise. I see more seniors out in the streets than young people.
Agreed. Go to Springfield Park and there's nothing but seniors doing their walks. It's awesome. A few young people too. Ty, you doing anything? Oh, well, Ty just recovered, but what you doing?
I was hoping you didn't come to me with that question.
I had to come on you because you had that don't call on me look, but it's all right.
I tried to turn my head away.
I had to pick on you a little bit.
You know, so I have to start exercising. You know what? I can give a shout out. I can give a shout out to Principal Katan Brown at MS 72. Her daughter does this detox program that I said I was going to do. And because I said I was going to do it, I plan to do it while in quarantine. So I'm looking forward to that. But I will say I have been in the parks a lot more. I decided that, you know what, let me just get out, get some air, and visit one out of the 1,500 parks in New York City. So I just try to choose a park a week and just try to walk it. And that's my way for now. I'm gonna increase it. In due time.
That's all right. Once a week is fine, as long as you do it. So what are y'all watching on TV? What Netflix series are y'all focused on right now?
Michelle Obama.
What would you recommend?
Michelle Obama.
Right, Becoming.
Becoming.
Come on, I'm a married man. I was dragged into the living room like as soon as that came out. I was in the living room.
That's what everybody should be watching right now.
Yeah, nice. All right, what else y'all watching? Any recommendations of series or anything on Netflix? Or not on Netflix, any platform.
Well, I think Money Heist on Netflix is pretty dope, and I think one thing that's so powerful about the internet again is platforms like Netflix are giving international movies, a place now where usually we would have never paid attention to international, movies, but now, I'm starting to watch. Money Heist is really interesting. With the professor, that's like my favorite guy. He's like the strategist behind everything. Like he thinks about, different ideas. But that's what I'm watching now, and I'm watching Insecure actually.
Oh, and Insecure, right? Insecure is finally back.
Is this another season?
Yeah.
This is the second. Is the second season 2?
4.
Insecure is 4.
Oh man. Oh, well, I work all day. I got an excuse. I shouldn't be home watching Netflix series 1 through 4.
Insecure is on HBO.
All right, it's all. Aleeia, I mean, you just dad.
Westworld.
All right. I'm gonna just shut up. Go ahead, Manny.
Westworld. This is an opportunity to catch up on the whole Power, all the seasons of Power, which I
didn't. My show. I love Power.
That's it for me.
So when this started, I did the whole Marvel universe. From beginning to end, all 22 Marvel movies. If you have Disney Plus, between Disney Plus and Netflix, you could catch 21 of the 22. I couldn't find the Hulk.
Damn.
But that's for my Marvel people. But other than,
and you are a superhero because you work for DDC. You tearing up the streets, so you like storming all of them. You just
thank you. But right now, I've been watching Little Fires Everywhere and Little Big Lies. A lot of people have been watching that. I would recommend those 2 things.
Little Fires Everywhere?
Yes.
What is that on? Is that on Netflix?
That's with Kerry Washington. I watched, just because Kerry Washington was in it, I watched it.
On Hulu.
Where is it on? Is it on Netflix?
Hulu.
Oh, Hulu. Okay, on Hulu.
Both of them is on Hulu.
Okay.
And then Alain said Insecure. So that's what I'm watching right now.
Can I do another recommendation as well? I think if there are millennials who are not active in the political space or don't understand, I would recommend. So Frontline is documentaries is my thing, and it kind of annoys my fiance. You know what I mean? But there's a documentary called Zero Tolerance: How Trump Turned Immigration into a Political Weapon. And literally what that does is they go into the strategy, the social media strategy that people, the individuals on Trump's campaign used. And the person that a lot of people don't know, his name is Brad Parscale. It's a name that everybody should know, because this guy's, it's just hard to put into words, like just how brilliant that guy is and how he weaponizes data and social media. Brad Parscale, like this guy, literally Trump got off the street, and ran his social media campaign. And it's basically the reason why Trump won this election. And just to give you an idea of just how influential this man is, he's looking, so obviously a lot of us involved in the political races, we see that the presidential election is important, but also the down ballot races, right? With people running for Congress and Senate and those different races. What Brad Parscale, and just to give you a little insight, because I'm not gonna go into much, But what he figured out was that in local races, people pay attention to local newspapers and local news media outlets. So what he's devising, his plan is devising, is he's creating own websites and own mini news websites where they're going to create their own articles and different things so they can sway the opinion in local communities. Really awesome stuff, really intricate, but I definitely would recommend that documentary.
Zero Tolerance, right?
Yeah, it's called Zero
Tolerance.
It's called Zero Tolerance: How Trump Turned Immigration into a Political Weapon.
And that's on Netflix.
That's on YouTube. You
On
can
YouTube. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Jump in there.
I want to shout out Kevin Livingston before I go to Ty. He's texting me something, but I want to thank him for his work in Rochdale Village too. So make sure between Aleeia, between us, between all the folks doing groundwork, Ty and his office, make sure y'all get involved. All right, go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was just about to jump in right where Ellen was at. Documentaries. I've been watching a lot of documentaries on YouTube. Actually, the latest one I just seen was on NYCHA, actually, and it was really interesting, really interesting. Just given the history behind it and why it is the way it is right now. So that, and also I started a series personally called Relationship Goals by Mike Todd that I started watching. That's been pretty good too on YouTube as well. So
nice. Did I get everybody? All right, what books y'all reading? Anybody reading anything interesting?
What am I reading now? What did I just buy?
Or which reading or music? We'll do both of those. Who y'all listening to and what y'all reading, if y'all reading anything.
So right now, I just finished up The Alchemist. That's supposed to be a classic. I am now reading The World as It Is by Ben Rhodes. He was an Obama speechwriter. It's very insightful. The way they write it, it takes you into the Oval Office with him, and you get to really.
What's the name of that one?
It's called The World as It Is.
Okay.
And then I also just finished up The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. And yeah, I never had time like this to read it. But yeah, it's been nice. Good.
Nice.
So the Black Resource Network has a book club that I have
Get out of
been
here.
for today, and I haven't read the book yet. So I'm like, oh my God, what is this book I have to go read after this? And we're reading Relational Intelligence by Darius Daniels. I haven't read it yet, but my group is reading it, and I'm going to do a lot of reading right after this, so I can go to the Zoom tonight and act like I know what I'm talking about.
Nice. The relational intelligence.
Yeah.
Interested. Anybody else reading anything? Say it again. No, I haven't heard of that.
Anybody heard of it? If somebody could tell me what's
It sounds like I need to learn this. I need some intelligence on relational intelligence.
You've heard of it, Ty?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay. Nobody can tell me what it says. All right, I gotta read it.
Oh, can I jump in for 2 seconds just on music? Kehlani just dropped a really nice album. Drake, his album is pretty good. Future's album is pretty good. Tory Lanez, Don't Even Waste Your Time on that album.
Wow.
Dad. Shameful. You must be a Drake fan, probably. That's why.
Nah.
I can't take your word for that. Who else y'all listening to?
As far as books, I'm a big Simon Sinek fan.
Okay.
I think any entrepreneur should read that book, start with why. But he has another book called Leaders Eat Last, Why Some Teams Pull Together and Others Do Not. I think I'm very passionate about collaboration. And I think for me, that's where like my passion is. How do we get our community to collaborate more on a level that's really going to push our community forward? There's some other books that I have. I read a lot of social media stuff, like social media marketing.
Yeah.
If anybody's into social media marketing or understanding social media or digital marketing in general, HubSpot is a very great spot to learn new things. And
go ahead, music and books. Who y'all listening to? Any music?
For music, like it's funny because the amazing thing about the internet is like they give you like these suggestions and stuff. So I kind of like 90s hip hop. I don't got anything against like the new hip hop and stuff, but I love
I
listening
do.
to Tupac. I love listening to Pac, like Snoop, like back in the West Coast days. But what I've been doing, man, like I've been listening to a lot of old school songs that that were made like before I was even born, like Aubrey Osborne, like those guys have some amazing like love songs. Like I find myself watching a lot of Soul Train stuff on YouTube, and I'm just dancing around and doing some different things. And I'm like, man, I think I was born in the wrong generation, but I'm starting to listen to some old school stuff.
Man, you're about to get married. You better learn some music. He in that fiance stage, huh?
Yeah. Trying to find which songs to play at the wedding. I've been finding.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah, that's a good reason to do it too. That's a good reason. Anybody else listening or reading any interest in music?
I'll jump in. I'll give the good before I give the bad. So a lot of my playlist is Christian music. Most of the time, if I'm in the house, whatnot, it's a lot of Christian music. Now I'm gonna give the bad. So the reason I say the bad is because Councilwoman, you're gonna disagree with me on this one. So I love trap music. I don't know why, but like I listen to a lot of Roddy Ricch, Move L. I just do, like, especially when
he went from Christian to trap music. Trap music. I love it. Ty, you muted or something. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Yeah. So that's me for the most part. That's why I gave you the good
You
part.
went from beauty to another extreme, just all in.
I'm trying to be multifaceted.
You praying for them after you listen to it, right? Go ahead, Jess. I want to hear what you listening to or reading.
Oh, so I'm a early 2000 type of person.
Okay.
So I'm not a big fan of the stuff nowadays. Some of it is tolerable though, so I will listen to it. But in terms of reading, like prior to COVID, I just really didn't have time to do the reading. But I have two amazing friends that are writers, and they gave me their books. So I'm gonna read Aleeia Davis, the diary. Hold on, Dear Diary. There we go.
Diary.
Dear Diary, and my other friend, her name is Dominique Listen, who I went to high school with, and it's called Pink Canvas. So that's gonna be my reading list.
Nice. And any of y'all caught that battle last night? The Nelly and the
Chris?
Luda.
Yes.
Ludacris. I actually watched it,
his...
which is like, like my wife was like, "Wow, he stayed the entire time and listened." And it was. I mean, Nelly. I gotta let him borrow my internet code next time. his whole internet.
Riley.
Exactly. It was so messed up. Who won last night?
Ludacris won.
Ludacris won, right?
Ludacris won.
Yeah. I mean, Nelly's gone diamond. I mean, so Nelly's going diamond. So I mean that means a lot, but just hit for hit, Ludacris.
Yeah.
Because it was so many we forgot he had.
Yeah.
It was like, it was a lot of that for Ludacris.
All right, which battles do y'all want to see happen in the future? If there was to be another battle, who would y'all look to?
I'd like to see like Missy versus Busta. I like high energy people. I'd like to see some reggae battles. I'd like to see some Barris versus Buja, just hit for hit. It doesn't have to be in the same genre, just for contrast. I'd like to see some of those. I'd like to see Brandy versus Monica. Like to see that. But those, those are some that I'd like to see.
Trying to have fights out here.
That was whoa.
We need the 50 versus Ja Rule.
Nah,
that's
man.
not even
Somebody gonna get hurt after that.
It's not gonna happen. There's no way.
Even though I will say, I always have a soft spot for Ja Rule because Ja Rule,
I have a soft
spot. Why? Because when I needed to put coats on the kids' backs in Far Rockaway, he came through every time, no matter what we needed. I never asked for anything in return.
Yeah.
So I always have a soft spot, although, I mean, I listen, I know 52, I know both, before this life, many don't know that I actually worked interned at Violator Management, which was run by Chris Lighty.
Yeah.
So Missy and all of them were all part of it, Busta, and they signed, the day they signed 50, I was there.
Nice.
So it's very interesting. Life time and life experiences as I transition after Poopa's death. But man, yeah, that would be wow. Missy versus Busta.
I want to see
Whoa.
that. They have the personality for it.
All right, what about Jada Kiss versus Nas or something? I mean, any of y'all? I don't know. I don't know why I thought about that one earlier after I watched
Is it like a
but
freestyle battle, or are they gonna song for
I mean,
song?
just go and hit. Well, I know Nas. Hard. I mean, just two great artists, but just I don't know. I don't know why that popped in my mind.
With that because artists like that, I can appreciate the songs that I've never heard before. Some artists, I never heard the song, it doesn't matter, but they're so strong, their lyricists are so strong that I would be okay with hearing songs I never heard. So I'd be down for it. They have lyrics.
Yeah. Who else? Nobody else got no recommendations? Versus any battles? Y'all not keeping up with the little battles? Like they had, who was it? Erykah Badu versus
Jill Scott
or something.
I want to hear. I want to hear Joe versus Avant.
Okay.
I'm a big R&B.
Yeah.
But you know, I had this idea for battles. I don't know. Try not to laugh, but I was thinking elected officials should battle each other on progressive policies that they've passed.
On Instagram?
Population. Governors and stuff, you know what I mean? I don't know.
I agree.
was just thinking about that. But
I was thinking of like a debate, actually.
Yeah.
It would be
That's a
hot.
good
Like
idea.
debating like a specific topic and the community gets invited.
Yeah,
Development, anything, you know, it could be anything.
You steal that idea, that like an everybody idea or a...
Exactly. I think that would be hot. Actually, not bad.
We're gonna talk about that, Alan.
Yeah. I'm down. I don't run from a fight.
I want to say collaboration, so.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We're gonna talk about that.
And they ain't never gonna talk after the debate, right? It's gonna be all over. All over. Lose my number.
Yeah.
Nobody's watching the Michael Jordan, the Last Dance stuff.
Yes. I have watched that.
That's been ratchet, man.
Yeah.
Like that has been. It's been great though, because I'm a Knicks fan, so it's been hard to watch. But you know, just learning the little intimate details, like the Rodman story, and like it's been really interesting.
I mean, I'm not a big sports fan, but obviously Michael Jordan has been a part of American pop culture for a long time. So it was really interesting hearing just kind of more about him. It's like, oh yeah, I remember what that happened. So that's the story. I
exactly, because we all still win. Well, I'm not wearing the sneakers; they're too expensive now.
Right, but
I didn't transition to like H&M sneakers now. I'm like, nah, I'm too cheap. I'm not spending $200 on those sneakers. But
yeah, I have to say that Dennis Rodman is really, you know, I think when I was younger, I really didn't understand, but after watching his own 30 for 30, I mean, that brother is living free. You know what I mean? Like, he's a brilliant dude. Like honestly, after watching the Jordan documentary, like his attention to detail, how he focuses on things. Like when he said, I studied rebounds, like I studied the way people try to grab rebounds. I was just like, yo, this guy's like amazing. I would love to run into him one day and just like, listen, you know what I mean? But he's dope.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to begin to wrap up. And let me just say this, and I think this is something all we can do. We should all do too. Guess what? Everybody can vote from home on June 23rd. And since I got this platform now, and I'm not talking about myself, but just in general, you can vote from the comfort of your couch. So go online, boe.nyc.gov, request your ballot. They send it in the mail, and make sure you vote. Census, the two things, census and vote. Millennials, got to be part of the conversation, got to be in the game, you know? So I think that's what I wanted to close out on. And then I wanted to give y'all an opportunity to close out, and then we're done today. And I want to thank each and every one of y'all. You know, I love this because, you know, we get to showcase the best and brightest right here in our community. I know there's a lot more of the best and brightest out there across Southeast Queens as well, but we got to give just little snippets of what y'all are up to. And for the world to see that, you know, there's often this depiction of young Black and brown people out there doing the wrong thing. And not to say we all walk on water, but right here, we got the talent. We have talent right here. We need to show the world more of it, that there are a lot of young people doing the right thing out there in their respective spaces. And we also need to show other young people that it's cool to read a little bit. It's cool to actually get involved. It's cool to work for an agency. It's cool to start your own thing. That not everything is a rap video, you know? And So I'm just so proud of each and every one of y'all. I know I sound like an old man, but at the end of the day, you know, we're all in it together. We're all shining examples to the next generation of what they can do and achieve. So I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for joining this platform, and look forward to collaborating with y'all. And let me end on, if there are any issues respective to government, please do not hesitate to reach out to us, you know, whether it's unemployment issues. If you get somebody, just give them our email. You know, all of our cell phones are pretty much online, and we will respond to them. So that there's there's a synergy, but also there's a collective way to make sure we're escalating people's issues with the government. You know, for instance, unemployment, we've actually been successful in plugging that hole for a lot of people now. So we found a way to speed up, to get answers and to advocate for people. Although I am city and unemployment is run by the state, we are working with all of our other elected officials as well. So there's a lot of collective synergy. And let me give a shout out to the other elected officials from South Queens, because collectively we've all been working together. So there's not one issue. And I could say, and I say this very proudly, you know, this virus has actually tightened up relationships that have needed to get tightened up. We do conference calls every day at 3 o'clock. Every day. Congressmen, state senators, assembly members, council members. Think about that, the collective synergy right here in Southeast Queens. And even, you know, we all know there's always been political infighting and that sort of thing. But I'm just proud because everybody's put aside those differences. And I think we've grown together. So we're stronger when we come together, and we can get a lot more done. That's why we got more testing sites, for instance, in our communities now, right? That's why these things didn't happen because people wanted to do them. They happened because we've come together and gone to the mayor and governor and said, listen, we're being left out. What's the deal? You know, our hospitals need PPE. What's the deal? We need more food for our community. What's the deal? When you go together in a unified fashion, your community is stronger. Yeah. So with that being said, I want y'all to all give y'all closing words of encouragement to the community, and then we are out. Yeah. All right. So I'll start with Aleeia. And then we'll work our way around.
Yes, thank you so much, Councilman Richards, for inviting me. This is wonderful. This is a lot of fun. I got to see some faces today, so that's good. I'm going to take this opportunity to invite everyone to join the Black Resource Network. It's a Facebook group for Black people in Queens to network and share resources. Specifically this Friday, we're going to have our first open mic. There's a large arts and culture community in Southeast Queens and Queens in general for Black people in Queens. And, you know, let's give them a space to do some performances. We're going to do art. We're going to do poetry. We're going to do comedy. So if you get a chance, you want to come by, come check us out. And that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All righty. We'll go to Manny.
So thank you for having me. But this pandemic has really shown us all that the city needs bold leadership. The city needs, and not just the city, the nation. We need to take steps that we thought we weren't able to take in the past, that people were a little afraid to do. And we have seen that not only is there a lot of need out there, but we are capable of handling a lot of stress and a big change really quickly. So as we move forward, I don't want any of us to feel like we need to go backwards. We need to go forward, we need to be innovative, and we need to try out new things and be willing to be open to new ideas and some bold leadership. So I think I would like to see us all and all these young people that are getting involved to continue getting involved, but also to continue pushing our leadership to try out new things that they might think the rest of the country is not ready for yet.
All right, thank you. We're going to go to Jess now.
Thank you, Councilmember Richards, for having me on this panel today. It's actually my first panel, so hopefully.
Whoa, we made history! Woo, woo, woo.
Yes. So I will leave it off by saying that Alain touched on it earlier, but and so did you as well. There's so much strength in unity. Like once we unite, there's nothing that we can't. that we can't do. Like I saw it in the mayor's office, and that was the biggest lesson I learned there. And I've taken it with me in all endeavors now and in the future. And I just want to highlight one more time that we have an event coming up on May 23rd, the Ballot or the Bullet. The council member is one of the co-sponsors of the event, and a whole community, not the whole community, but most of the community is a reflection of our community. And I always look for ways to partner with people in future endeavors. If you have ideas, we could definitely talk back, because most likely you're not the only one with the ideas. So it's always good to get feedback from other people and just have conversations. And I just want to also remind people to fill out the census and do more in your community. There's always room to do more, and there's so many things to do in this community. Don't think that you're not valuable enough or you can't do it, because you can. There's something for everybody. If you don't know what your niche is yet, reach out to any one of us on this panel, and we have no problems helping you figure that out. Thank you.
And Ballot or Bullet is one of Malcolm X's best speeches in the world.
That's
For those of you, I don't know where that title came from. If you don't know now, you know. You should go on YouTube, listen to it. It's one of the most powerful speeches you'll ever hear. All right, we're gonna go to now Ty, and then we'll have Alain close us out.
Yeah, speaking of Malcolm X, I got Brother Malcolm behind me on the painting. That's my new art, Brother Malcolm. And
Oh, nice.
Councilmember, thank you for hosting this conversation, for having this conversation.
I think you froze up.
Those of us who are, can you hear me now?
Yep, we hear you now.
Okay, now I was saying thank you for being a trail. Want to get involved or be involved in government politics. Thank you for that. You know, I just want to just encourage people to get out and serve the community, serve your neighbors. You know, I'm also a staff pastor at an amazing church called the Excelling Church, and you know, I try to live by what Jesus said, which was to love God and love your neighbor as yourself. So everything starts with loving your neighbor. So that's what I want to encourage people to do. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Awesome. All righty. And then Alain to close us out.
First, I just want to thank you all of being part of such a distinguished panel, distinguished individuals who are doing amazing things in their own right. I want to shout out my local 372 family. I'm big time in labor. Like I really push for individuals to be more active in their labor unions more than ever. So shout out to my president, Sean D. Francois, my executive vice president, Donald Nesbitt, and Jacques Leandre. You know,
all from Southeast Queens, Southeast Queens strong.
And for their leadership and, you know, always, you know, putting on for young professionals and young people. To young people, if you can, if you're looking to get more involved, join me and Jessica in Southeast Queens up front. Some amazing young professionals who are getting together. Also, Aleeia Abraham's group on Facebook. I'm very active, and because of her, I found these awesome donuts. I'll never forget her.
What are the donuts?
What's the name of the donuts again? It's just some amazing donuts that this brother. I didn't even have a chance to take a picture of it because I ate them all. But also too,
post them, Aleeia, right? Post
yeah.
the donuts. I want to know where they are.
Cousin Dozen Donuts. I will send you the link. Oh, it was the best.
It's not Dunkin' Donuts, you said.
No, Cousin Dozen.
Cousin Dozen. All right, send me the link.
Yeah, Cousin Dozen. I'll send you the link for that. It's the best. I tried not to order it today. It's good.
You know, I'll also share that I'm also a part of the NAACP. I'm also the next gen. I'm from the next gen class the year before Jessica. Definitely come and join us at the Jamaica branch. We're literally pushing this intergenerational thing. Like, we're not just talking about it, we are doing it. And I also want to add, please do not forget about vulnerable populations. And what I mean by that is not just seniors, but formerly incarcerated individuals, right? Because if it's hard for us right now, I can only imagine, you know, what they're going through. And I want to shout out Andre Aparcho for his work and his leadership. You know, I sat down 3 hours at the state probation office, I guess on Jamaica Avenue. I sat there for 3 hours and I learned a lot of new stuff. You know, I was very humbled. And lastly, I'll say to the councilman, I just want to say thank you for, you know, your leadership. You know, a couple of years back, I was stopped and frisked you know, by the NYPD. And thankfully, you know, I had the councilman to support me through the process. And, you know, the importance of having leaders like the councilman is, you know, when negative things happen to you, you don't just turn your back. It's actually made me become more active in the community. You know, I have a relationship with the inspector now, and we're doing some amazing things, and not to just turn my back. But I just want to thank him for, you know, his leadership and your staff. I mean, your staff, I don't know how they do it. Shout out to Manny and everybody else, but, you know, I'm really looking forward to moving our community forward collaboratively and together. You know, I really mean that. And I go to sleep at night thinking about this, and I wake up in the morning thinking about how do we put our community and move it forward, because I feel like Southeast Queens is the blueprint for communities across the country. And I really believe in that. Thank you.
Yep. Well, thank y'all. It's been real. Make sure you practice social distancing. Next week is Memorial Day weekend. Why don't you listen to Samuel Jackson? He has a great book on social distancing. If you didn't hear him read that, so make sure you follow the rules, and also seriously be safe, and may God be with everybody. Thank y'all all for coming out tonight. God bless each and every one of y'all. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Nice seeing
Thank
everyone.
you. Nice seeing all y'all.